For I hear the whispering of many, terror on every side, as they scheme together against me, as they plot to take my life. But I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hand. Rescue me from the hand of my enemies and from my persecutors. Make your face shine on your servant. Save me in your steadfast love.
I just wanna be ready.
Late night we take flight. What's a tadpole to a great white? For the beef we keep a steak knife. Turn concrete to a grave site. For you get left, better stay right. I'm saved and I got my faith tight, but the serpent's out here lurking. I ain't going out for no snake bite.
Peace and grace, saints of Christ. It's been a while, but we're still around. We're still here. And tonight we're going to be talking about Romans 9, 24 to 27. We're going to be exposing the faulty breakdown of the black Hebrew Israelites, namely Sicarii, a particular sect of these cults, and the way they break down Romans 9, 25, 24 to 20, 25, 27. And the way they use Hosea and try to make it seem as if Paul is speaking to the Israelites there in Romans 9:25, right? So without much further ado, let's get into it, saints. Here we go. Now we're going to be taking a look at a video first of the breakdown. Let's take a look at the breakdown first, right? It's a few minutes, man, 2 or 3 minutes, just so you can get a feel for what they, out of their own mouths, man, the way they break down and see these verses, right? And they're arguing here, or they're dialoguing with the Christian brother, right? And so let's see the way they break down the verse, Romans 9, regarding Hosea and Paul's teaching. Check it out.
People, those are still the non-Israelite nations. You still hold true to that?
Some of the non-Israelite nations are black, like me. I'm not an Israelite, but I'm still African American. Some are white.
We didn't say nothing.
Chinese,
we didn't say nothing about. We didn't say nothing about black, red. You know what I said? Black, red, green, or purple. We
the
said
non-Israelite nations are not all black.
So read that again.
The
24 and
black.
25.
That's Book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 24. Even us whom he hath called.
Read.
Not of the Jews only.
Go ahead.
But also of the Gentiles.
Not of the Jews, but also Gentiles. Read.
As he saith.
As he saith. Read.
Also NOC.
NOC, which we know is Hosea. Go ahead.
I will call them my people, which were not my people.
And those people are non-Israelites, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Are you sure?
He says there are people who are not his people. Yes.
And those are not Israelites.
Yes.
Are you sure?
He also said, "A foolish people will I make my people jealous."
Listen, are you sure it's non-Israelites?
He said, "Those people who are not my people, I will call as people."
Okay, and those are not Israelites.
In the spirit, they're called Israel.
Hold on.
They were grafted in, but they're not the descendants of Judah.
Okay, let's see. Go to Hosea 1, start at 6.
The book of Hosea, chapter 1, and verse 6.
Go ahead.
And she conceived again and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, call her Laruhamah.
Call her name Laruhamah, right? This is the Lord speaking unto Hosea, right? Go ahead.
For I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel.
I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel. Is this a spiritual Israel, or is this a physical descendant Israel right here? And this is in Hosea. Is it spiritual or physical?
In this particular passage, I don't know.
It's physical.
Yeah, I'm not going to guess on that.
Right, go ahead.
But I will utterly take them away.
He's going to take them away. No more mercy, take them away. Read.
But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah.
But Judah, which is the Jews, he will have mercy upon. Go ahead.
And will save them by the Lord their God.
And will save them. Read.
And will not save them by bow.
But he's not going to save them from the bow. Read.
Or by bow.
By bow, meaning he's not going to save them from anybody coming to try to destroy them, right? Go ahead.
No
what you
by sword.
Read.
He's not going to have a physical warfare to defend them.
Exactly.
It's going to be a spiritual defense.
By horses no horsemen.
Read.
Now when she had been weaned, Laruhamah, she conceived and bare a son.
Then she bare a son. Read.
Then said God, call his name Lo-Ami.
Then she had a son and called his name Lo-Ami. Read.
For ye are not my people.
For ye are not my people. Who is that talking about?
If the past is still talking about the house of Israel.
House of Israel. For ye are what?
For ye are not my people.
Go ahead.
And I will not be your God.
Go ahead.
Yet
That's why Paul is
will not
referencing. Listen, that's why Paul is referencing the book of Hosea.
Because they were rejected.
Exactly, but it's letting you know, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles, as he said in OC. I will call them my people, which were not my people. He just called Israel not his people, and he would not be their God.
meaning it's a fulfillment of prophecy.
Right. Go ahead.
He was going to reject it.
Right. Go ahead. Keep reading.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea,
The number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. Go ahead.
which cannot be measured nor numbered.
Read.
And it shall come to
It
pass
shall come to pass, read,
that in the place where it was said unto them,
in the place that was said unto them what?
ye are not my people.
Go ahead.
There it shall be said unto them,
There it shall be said unto them what?
ye are the sons of the living God.
So when we read right here in Paul, we can't say that it was a spiritual Israel because Hosea had already prophesied that it was going to be fulfilled in this time that we're reading here.
Now, how do you become Israel again? Since he had rejected Israel.
No. The fulfillment.
All right, that's what I'll stop it there, because right there's where I want to begin interjecting and breaking down the verse, man, breaking down these scriptures. All right, so follow me, man. So let's go to Hosea. Let's start with Hosea first, man. Let's get a context for Hosea, right? Let's go to. They started from verse 6. Let's go there, man. Let's go to Hosea 1, verse 6. Give me a second. Bear with me here. So Hosea 1, 6. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and God said unto him, call her Lo Ruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel. All right, it's Israel, right? But I will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and will save them by the Lord their God. Right? So here in Hosea, right, we see a dual prophecy, man. We see a lot of those in scriptures, right? Here we see it already. We see it come to pass eventually in with Sennacherib, where God saved them without the need of using swords or horsemen or anything like that, right? And we also see it in Babylon when they returned to Babylon, right? He didn't save them with battle or anything. He just set them free. He saved them, man. It's more of like the Christian said, spiritually, right? He wasn't gonna do it with swords or in battle or nothing like that, right? So yes, we have a dual prophecy there. It came to pass with Sennacherib, which is deliverance from Sennacherib, which is 2 Kings 19:35, and at the restoration from Babylon, right? When they came back from Babylon, right? So that's verse 6. That's 6, right? I will no longer have mercy upon the house of Israel. I will take them. Verse 7. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah. Verse 7. Now verse 8. Let's go to verse 8. Now when she had weaned Lo Ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said God, call his name Lo Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. Now check this out. Peep this, right? According to the Black Hebrew Israelite breakdown, according to their teaching, they're saying that because the northern kingdom, the Israelites, stopped being God's people, that they stopped being Israelites, that that as soon as they stopped being God's people, they were no longer the northern kingdom, they were no longer Israelites, that they turned into Gentiles. That's what the guy's saying. We'll go back and take a look at it. But I want to give you the picture in your mind before you go back and you can have an aha moment, right? I don't think he even perceives what he's teaching. Right? I don't think he perceives it that way, but that's what he's leading his audience to perceive, to understand it as. But as you can see here, for example, in verse, verse 10, verse 11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together. The children mean the descendants of, right? Then shall the descendants of Judah and the descendants of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head. And they shall come up out of the land for great shall be the day, right? Again, we have in verse 10 a dual prophecy. The one head that they appointed was Zerubbabel, right? He was a head there when he returned from Judah. The dual prophecy is Christ, right? He was a head, right? He delivered. He again, like verse 7, right? The dual prophecy there. You can see that he saved Judah, right? By grace through faith. Verse 10, they appointed themselves one head, which is Jesus Christ, right? But as you can see here, it says in verse 11, then shall the children of Judah and children of Israel, right? That means the descendants of, which in turn means that Israel never stopped being Israel, even though they were not his people, right? Now I want to go back to the video so you can see that, so you can capture that, right? And I'll rewind it and keep rewinding it until the point where I want you to see, right?
Exactly, but it's letting you know, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles, as he said in Hosea.
Then said God, call his name Lo-Ami.
Then she had a son and called his name Lo-Ami. Read.
For ye are not my people.
For ye are not my people. Who is that talking about?
If the past is still talking about the house of Israel.
House of Israel. For ye are what?
For ye are.
Now check it. They are not his people, right? So far they're right, but it's gonna turn. It's gonna switch. You're gonna see that he's gonna make it seem like, well, because they are not his people, they stop being Israelites, right? And I don't think he even perceives that. But check that out. Check it out.
You are not my people.
Go ahead.
And I will not be your God.
Go ahead.
Yet
That's why Paul is referencing.
Will not be.
Listen, that's why Paul is referencing the book of Hosea.
Because they were rejected.
Exactly, but it's letting you know, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles, as he said in Hosea.
Right there, boom. But also of the Gentiles. So the northern kingdom stopped being descendants of Israel, right, to become Gentiles because they were rejected by God, because they were no longer God's people. That's basically what he's saying, right? But as you can see, as come back with me here. Come with me to back to the scriptures here. As you can see, it says, then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, right, and appoint themselves one head, right, which the dual prophecy points to Christ, right? It says the children of Judah and the children of Israel, right? No, it says, and let's even go, so that means that Israel never stopped being Israel just because they were rejected by God, right? Now let's go to verse 9. Then said God, call his name Lo-Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God, right? Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor come nor numbered, right? So it tells you even there, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God. It doesn't say, for because you are not my people, you will in turn no longer be Israelites, right? And verse 10 is the precept, yet the number of the children of Israel, right? Yet the descendants of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. That means that they're still Israelites, even though they're not his people, man. So nowhere in Hosea 1 do we see this teaching of the young brother here in this cult that says that because that Paul referenced Hosea regarding the Israelites, right? Regarding the Israelites, because they were Gentiles, right? So Paul's not applying it to the Israelites because they were Gentiles, right? He's applying it to the Gentiles, man, and we'll take a look at that later. And it's just nonsense. It's straight confusion, man. But it's clear right here. Just because God rejected them from being his people doesn't mean that they somehow, some way were not from the tribe, were not from Jacob's seed and became Gentiles, man. That's ridiculous. That's sheer nonsense, man. Now, let's go to Romans 9:25, man, because that's where I want to go. Now that we got, the Hosea 1, right? We'll go to Hosea 2:23, right, in a minute. But let's go to Romans 9, man. And it says here, and you're gonna notice the distinction, because in Romans 9:24 to 28, Romans 9:24 to 27, we see the three. We see the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, and the Gentiles, man. Let me give you a quick overview, and then we'll run it down. Verse 24. Even us, who's us right here? Not of the Jews only, right? So us here is including the Jews, right, and the Gentiles, right? So verse 24 we have the Jews. The latter part of verse 24 we have the Gentiles. Verse 27 we have Israel, right? There's a distinction between verse 24, 25, the Jews and the Gentiles, and Israel, right? So there's a distinction being made, man. So here we have even us whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. As he said also in OC, and this is where we go to Hosea 2:23, right? Because he only quotes part of that verse. He doesn't quote the whole thing. He just quotes the part that he finds useful in his teaching regarding the Gentiles, man. He says, and yes, let's go to Hosea 2:23. Yes, of course, in Hosea, it's speaking about the northern kingdom, man. Give me bear with me here. Let's go down to 23. Hosea 2:23, right? Of course, man, it's talking about the northern kingdom in Hosea, you know. And let's see what the verse says, the whole verse. He says here in the verse 23, and I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy, right? And we know by context from Hosea 1 that it's talking about the northern kingdom, Israel, right? And I will say to them which are not my people, again, Hosea 1 speaking about the northern kingdom, thou art my people, right? Then they shall say, thou art my God, right? But but Paul only takes a part of it, a snippet of it, and he applies it to the Gentiles, man. Let's go to Romans 9 again, right? And he says, let's start from verse 24. Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, even us, not of the Jews only, right? Not of the southern kingdom only, if that's how they want to read it, but also of the Gentiles. As he saith also in OC, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. Right? And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. So Paul is quoting a snippet of Hosea and applying it to the Gentiles. No, Gentiles, you are God's people, right? You are beloved by God. By faith, right? By grace through faith, right? So, what's my precept? Well, because verse 27 is a distinction. He goes from verse 24, the Jews, the latter part of that verse, the Gentiles, 25, 26, the Gentiles, and then the distinction is being made in verse 27. Now, Isaiah also crieth concerning Israel. So, he doesn't leave out Israel, man. Paul does not leave out Israel. He says, but also Isaiah also crieth concerning Israel. So concerning Israel, right? Isaiah also crieth and says, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved, right? And this is quoted in Israel and Isaiah. It's Isaiah 10:22 to 23, right? And we find a similar quote in Hosea 1:10, right? But here he makes a distinction. Now concerning Israel, he says, though their number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved, right? So it's not so their breakdown falls apart. It's not that because God rejected northern Israel, right, the Israelites, they became Gentiles. No. Because their children, their descendants would be numerable as the sand of the sea, yet only a remnant shall be saved, right? And where's my precept? Where's my precept saying that to show that a distinction is being made between the Jews in verse 24, the Gentiles in the latter part of verse 24 to 26, and Israel, the distinction there? Well, it's in the context, man. Let's go to verse 30, right? What shall we say then? That the Gentiles, which follow not after righteousness, have attained to righteousness, right? Right. So in verse 25, they were his people and everything, but in verse 30, what shall we say then? That the Gentiles, which follow not after righteousness, have attained. So the Gentiles here in verse 25, it's Israel, and in verse 30, what are they, man? What are they? right? Matter of fact, who's it? What's up with verse 31? But Israel, which followed after the law of righteousness, had not attained. So the Gentiles attained the law of righteousness, right? But Israel, in verse 31, did not obtain it, right? Can you not see a clear distinction being made here, man? Verse 24, the latter part, 25 and 26, and verse 30 are talking about Gentiles, non-Israelites, nations that are not from the seed of Jacob, right? People who are not from the seed of Jacob, right? In verse 31 it says, but Israel. Verse 27 said, Isaiah also cried concerning Israel. So verse 27 and 31 are being distinguished from the Gentiles in verse 20, the latter part of verse 24, 25 to 26, and 30. Come on, man. You know, this is easy, man. This is so easy. So again, Paul is taking a snippet of Hosea 2:23 in Romans 9:25, and he's applying it to the Gentiles, not to other Israelites who were Israelites, but they stopped being Israelites and once again have become Israelites. No, he's applying it to the Gentiles, to the people who literally are not from the seed of Jacob, right? And he's saying to them, listen, just as we hear it in Hosea, when the Israelites, when they were rejected by God and were not his people, so you, Gentiles, you at one point, you are not his people. You were not his people. You were never called his people, right? But here he's saying, I will call them my people. Who? The Gentiles, which were not my people. Who? The Gentile, right? So what Hosea said about Israel, now Paul quotes a snippet and he's applying it to the Gentiles, right? To comfort them, to console them, to assure them that, hey man, it's all right. We also see that Israel, were rejected by God. Just like you were never his people. We're not called his people. But now you will, now you are. I will call them my people, which are not my people. I mean, this is redundant, but we got to keep repeating it, man. And as I said, man, there's a distinction in verse 27 and verse 31 from the Gentiles in verse 24 to 25 and verse 30. A clear distinction, man, right? A remnant will be saved, right? Verse 27. Isaiah concerning Israel, a remnant shall be saved. And where do we see that? We see that in Romans 11, man. And check the distinctions again. Right? Come down to me here. Verse 25 and 11 in Romans 11. For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that the blindness in part has happened to who? To Israel, until the fullness of the who? The Gentiles. Distinction. Well, that's another distinction. That blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles, right? Be come in. And so also Israel, another distinction from Gentiles to Israel, shall be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Zion a deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. As concerning the gospel, they, who? Israel, are enemies for your sake. For whose sake? For the Gentiles. But as touching the election, they who? The Gentiles are, Israel, are beloved for the Father's sake. For the gifts and call of God are without repentance, right? For as ye in time past have not believed God, ye who? The Gentiles, yet have now obtained mercy through their unbelief. Through whose unbelief? The Israelites, Israel. Even so have these also, these who? Israel, now not believed, that through your mercy, whose mercy? The Gentiles, they also may obtain mercy. They who? Israel. For God hath concluded them all. Them all who? The Gentiles and Israel in unbelief, that he might have mercy upon all. Verse 32. Come on, man. This is too easy, right? Now let's go to some commentaries, man. So we can close this and I can get up with my business, my day off, about to go spend time with my family. Check this out. Let's go to some commentaries. This is the Faithful Study Bible, right? commentary, Faith Life Study Bible commentary, right? We have people like Dr. Michael Heiser, who's a Semitic scholar. I mean, that dude's brilliant. And he said, and in this commentary we see regarding Romans 9:25, he says, "Who were not my people," refers to the Gentiles. I mean, straight out of the bat. Paul cites Hosea 2:23 here in the book of Hosea. The people of Israel had broken their covenant with God through idolatrous practices. Nevertheless, God showed them mercy and promised to restore them as his people. Paul applies this text to the Gentiles, non-Jewish people, because they, like Israel, were separated from God's promises, but he still showed them mercy and brought them into his people, right? Let's go to the Jamieson, Fawcett, and Brown commentary, right? Here in verse 25. Excuse me. Let's go up. As he said also in OZ, "I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved." Quoted, though not quite to the letter, from Hosea 2:23, a passage relating immediately not to the heathen, and that's fine. That's okay. We don't object to that. Actually, it actually helps us, because as it was applied to the Israelites, now Paul is taking a snippet of it and he's applying it to the Gentiles. It helps us, man. It makes our case for us, right? But to the kingdom of the 10 tribes. But since they had sunk to the level of the heathen, right? It's not that they stopped being Israelites and were all of a sudden Gentiles, right? But they sunk to the level of the heathen, who were not God's people, and in that sense not beloved. The apostle legitimately applies it to the heathen as aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers to the covenants of promise, man. As easy as that, man. I mean, this is too easy, right? And the Christian brother, at the end, he also perceived their teaching, that he was making it seem like they stopped being Israelites. So he asked a great question, and I'll leave you with that question, man. Let me find it for you.
All the people of God, there shall they be called the sons of the living God.
How shall that come to pass for the individual?
What do you mean? How did here in Paul we can't
I rewinded a little. It's back here.
say that it was a spiritual Israel, because Hosea had already prophesied that it was going to be fulfilled in this time that we're reading here.
Now, how do you become Israel again?
Now, how do you become Israel again? That's an excellent question, brother. That's an excellent question, man. With that, peace and grace, saints. I hope this little study helps, brief study, man, and you take it, improve on it, add to it, make it more profound, and share it, man. And I just pray it helps, man. We got to keep praying for these black brothers and sisters that are and not just the black brothers and sisters, but now even my own people, man, my Mexican American brothers, you know what I mean, that are being swallowed by these false teachings, man. Just pray for these people, that the Spirit of God shines the light of the gospel in their hearts and leads them to truth, man. And with that being said, may the peace and grace of God remain upon all of y'all. Shalom and shalom, my brothers. And remember, always remember, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12.
I slip not, I'm zip locked, I know what time it is. Wristwatch, I'm in the grimiest of them sick blocks with a sign that says no pit stops. Where I hang out, it's a hang snooze. Niggas banged out, no gang truce. Them killers roll, them millers blow. I seen Lil Zoe with his brains loose, nigga. And they wonder what I wear this for. Hey, I pray for peace, but I'm prepared for war. Life's like the keys to the whip. You can lose it quick, so a Ruger clip on a shooter's hip sometimes could be good stewardship. But they ain't from this land, bro, so they don't understand, though, how camo, a vest and extra ammo is Mando. Ain't trying to hurt nobody, just trying to live my life. And I pray the rest of it's a reflection of the risen Christ. I don't want to hurt nobody, just want to give them life.